Well, howdy, everybody. It is November 23rd, Wednesday, right? Wednesday evening at 5:39 p.m. Finally, the long-awaited, overdue true crime story that happened again in Wyoming. So, we'll let Brad lead off.
Okay, I can do that. Um, a lot of the reason why we're doing these cases from Wyoming is, since Wyoming is such a small state population wise, I knew people from um, the the girls thrown off the bridge, and Teresa knows one of the ladies in this case, and then there's another one I would like to talk to, and I know the mother in that case. So, it's just
Which
we
one?
Matthew Shepard.
Let's do that next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so these hit really really close to home, and Wyoming is supposed to be such a safe state, and overall it is, but you think in a place like that you wouldn't expect stuff like this.
Well, I think though the more desolate an area, the more people think they can hide.
Yeah, and that's very very true.
You know.
So right now we are talking about what was known as the Little Miss murder, excuse me. And Little Miss, her real name was Lisa Marie Kimmel. She was born July 18th of 1969, and Lisa had she worked down in the Denver area. She was a manager for Arby's, and the family home was up in Billings, Montana. And Lisa's mother also lived down in Denver. She was
the district supervisor for Arby's.
And Teresa actually met her.
Yes, before her daughter was murdered and stuff, she came. I was working at Arby's. This is before I met Brad. And she came to do an inspection and talk with all of us. And she talked about how proud she was of her daughter and told us all about her daughter. And, yeah, very nice lady.
Yeah. But they both worked in the Denver area, and Lisa, I think I said Lisa was a store manager, and the family home was up in Billings. So, whenever they had extended time off, they would commute back and forth, which was, I believe it was 555 miles is what they said. So, but this all started happening on March 25th of 1988. And Lisa was leaving Denver to go up to the family home, and she was supposed to stop in Cody, Wyoming to pick up her boyfriend, and then the two of them were going to drive the rest of the way into Billings. Well, on the way, when she was in Douglas, which is about 50 miles outside of, it's east of Casper, she was stopped for speeding, and that was at 9:06 p.m. on the evening of the 25th, and that was the last confirmed sighting of Miss Kimmel.
Now, there's speculation that she was seen in downtown Casper because her license plates read Little Miss. But I kind of question if that was her because the sightings were daytime.
Yeah.
For downtown Casper.
Yeah.
It was not at night.
Yeah.
So, and it could have been that somebody else was driving her car.
Yeah. Yeah. And she had a Honda CRX, and her she had a personalized license plate from Montana that said Lil Miss, Lilmiss.
And her mom didn't think anything about her driving this. She had driven it many times. You're from this area, you are used to driving hours to the next location, so
Yeah, and this was also the 80s, which there was still a lot of naivety about.
Did it happen in 87?
88. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'd only been together for a couple, 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she disappeared on the 25th, and she had not been seen for 8 days. and the boyfriend from Cody said that she never made it all the way up there. So
And this is before you had cell phones, so
mhm,
you know.
yeah, and finally 8 days later, um, her body was discovered, called at a place called the Old Government Bridge, which I've been there so many times, fished in that area a
Mm-hmm.
lot,
Mm-hmm.
and she had been found floating in the water, and she was dead. She had been beaten and she had been stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's what they could find out right away.
yeah. So now I've got to turn my page. See, I'm trying to be good, and since we don't have a teleprompter, I have to read from a notebook. So, but let me slide back a little bit. Her parents called her, filed a missing persons report on the 26th, and she was supposed to be there a
Now,
day later, or the 26th,
when was she coming through?
on the 25th.
Okay, that's when she was stopped by the
Yeah.
Douglas. Okay.
And they got a hold of her boyfriend. He said she'd never shown up, and
Mm-hmm.
so the next morning they filed a missing persons report. And then 8 days later, on April 2nd, that's when her body was found floating in the river.
I remember it was Easter time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the autopsy said that she had been bound and beaten, stabbed 6 times, and raped. And this occurred several times, at least the rape, over, excuse me, I'm not supposed to say that word, am I?
I guess we're not supposed to.
Okay. The R word, yes, several times in the course of 6 days, from the time she was kidnapped until
How did they know
found
that
her.
she lived for 6 days?
Because of they placed the time of death.
Okay,
So,
I was just wondering how
yeah.
they knew that they thought it was 6 days.
Yeah, and taking body temperature, and
Mm-hmm.
you probably know more about
Right,
that than I do.
yeah. Body temperature of the liver and all that.
Yeah. They found on Old Government Bridge, they found signs of where she had been beaten and stabbed, and they found blood up there and everything.
I'm amazing they did.
Yeah, me too. But after that, they didn't have any kind of leads. There were rumors of her car appearing in Casper, but
Yeah.
yeah, the case went cold for 14 years. And in 2002, detectives were going over the cold case files that they had on record, and they had the rape kit, the R kit, excuse me, that was still in the case file, and they were able to get DNA out of it, and they turned it in. I assume they looked in CODIS. I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but they had a hit right away. And the hit was on a guy by the name of Dale Wayne Eaton, and he was in jail in Colorado. He had tried to kidnap the Breeden family in 1997, and he was caught. He had a gun. He used a gun to kidnap them, and that's why with the gun it made it a federal crime, and so that's when he had his DNA sample taken. So let's see, where am I? I got talking, I kind of lost my place. But the Breeden family, they started doing, they started really looking into Eaton, and they talked with. He had a place up in Moneta, which was about 50 miles, kind of northwest of Casper. And Teresa and I were up there, not at that time, but when we went up there, we went to look around, and there was it was Moneta, by the time we were there, was pretty much a ghost town.
Yeah.
And they had a big train wreck up there.
Yeah.
And they still had the train cars all over the place, and at the time we didn't make the connection that
right.
That he was up there. But
I didn't think he was by the time we went.
I don't remember when we went.
Not too far before we moved. Maybe a couple years.
Okay.
No, I think he was already in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. But they interviewed his neighbors and, to find out what they could on him. And a couple of his neighbors said that they had seen him digging a great big hole in his yard. So they started digging up the place where he dug, and that's when they found um, her Honda CRX with the personalized license plates, and that linked him to the case. He was found guilty, and he was sentenced to die at the penitentiary there in Wyoming. And time to flip the page. He was sentenced to die there in Wyoming, and in I believe it was February of 2010, and he got a stay of execution in 2009, and they actually overturned his death penalty to life in prison in 2014. So I'm still on the fence on what I think about the death penalty, but thinking about that poor little girl and all that she went through, and how scared she must have been, and I think she realized that she probably would never see any of her family and loved ones again. And I think he is another one that they should have executed him.
Yeah.
Another thing with Eaton is, like I said, he had the breeding family that he kidnapped, and there was a string of.
And that was after it.
Yeah, that was 1997.
Yeah.
And
9 years later.
Yeah, and there was several cases there in Wyoming that they thought was a serial killer, might have been responsible. And there was one lady in what was it, 97, I believe. Yeah, and her name was Amy.
Busy that year, wasn't
Yeah, her name was Amy Robechtel, and she had been up jogging outside of Lander, and they never did find her. Yeah. Her husband reported her as missing, and he was exonerated right away, or cleared right away, and they never solved that case. And they have a strong suspicion that Eaton might have been responsible for that one too. So as of 2021, he's still sitting in jail, and I hope he sits there for the rest of his life. And like I said, it's just, I don't know how anybody could do this to another human being.
Yeah.
And that poor girl, I feel so bad that she went through all of that. And
they suspect that maybe she had car trouble and stopped along the highway.
They said she offered him a ride.
Where did she find him at?
I don't know. They didn't say, but they said she had offered him a ride, and he started making advances on her, and she didn't want. She was not amused,
right?
And she asked him to get out, and that's the last they know of that incident. But people like that, it's just. It is just so sad that her life was cut so short. The parents filed a civil suit, and they were given his property in Moneta, and they ended up burning down all the buildings.
Yep.
And I don't know if they still have the property or if they sold it or gave it away.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I am not sure, but
I wouldn't be surprised if they had gotten rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, just
a very sad case. I mean, and it was very ironic that I actually knew her mother, and and then when this came out and stuff, and it really made you think.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
made you think.
Yeah, because I remember, you and I had only been together a few months, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember you said that you knew her mother,
Mm-hmm.
from when you worked at Arby's.
And oh, what a sad thing, because like I said, I knew her mother from being our district supervisor, and how happy and full of life she was, and then basically as the years wore on, she was so devastated and just
Mm-hmm.
completely changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I would imagine that would have been so tough just driving through Casper and
yeah.
everything. And I remember that when this case was going on, that there were so many reports statewide of her car popping up here and there.
Mm.
And nobody knows when Eaton had buried her car on his property. And I don't know if he had a backhoe or if he did it by hand or how he dug the property. I wouldn't think he'd have the money to hire a backhoe or get a backhoe. But, you know, uh, slime balls like that just,
Mm.
they do not deserve to live,
No.
especially since they cut her life so
Yeah.
short.
That's
You,
the thing that gets to me. Is sometimes their sentences are just so light, and you're like,
mm-hmm.
"Are you serious?"
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, Wyoming was such a, like I said, we were all really naive. I mean, all these bad things happened in other parts of the United States, not in Wyoming. And yeah, it can happen. It can happen anywhere. I mean, we're seeing all these shootings all over the country, and even in some of the most remote.
Like Walmart in Virginia
Yeah.
shooting.
Yep.
He showed at least 5 dead and 6 injured at least.
Yeah. And there was a friend of mine. I won't go into the whole story, but the police had stopped him for driving while intoxicated, and the difference was back in those times, they had the discretion to turn him loose.
Mm-hmm.
And with this friend of mine, they did. The cop followed him home and let him off with a warning. So that's a difference in atmosphere between in the last 40 years. And I remember when I was in high school, I took a rifle to school because it was a black powder rifle, and several of my teachers wanted to check it out because hardly anybody had seen the black powder rifles
Mm-hmm.
then. And Charlie's over here. He laid
Mm-hmm.
down and he's groaning.
He's back to his normal self.
Yes, he is. But I was walking through high school carrying a rifle, and the only people that ever stopped me were people that wanted to check out the rifle. And we never thought of anything of going to school with guns hanging in the back window of our pickups. And a lot of times we'd go right after school. We'd go rabbit hunting or deer hunting or whatever, and it was just that small town atmosphere that nothing bad can happen
Right.
here.
Right.
You know.
Basically, a place like Monita is a population of what, 15 maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe on a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, that's why we went out there. We went for a drive, and I wanted to take Brad. I knew the wrecked train was up there,
Mm-hmm.
and we stopped. There was an old abandoned house and a shed, and just to investigate. And here come these two ladies with draft horses, and wouldn't know what we're doing, etc. We must have stood and talked to them for well over a half hour.
They were neat ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I remember when I was a young teenager, like 13, 14 years old, my dad and a friend of his and we went out sage chicken hunting, and we got our birds early, so we went back to Monita, and there was this old hotel that had been built in the early 1900s, and Dad and Marvin sat at the bar and was BSing with the other people, and You know, they ordered me a pop, and I was over there playing pool.
Yeah.
You know, in this bar in this town. You know, and nobody batted an eye about this 13-year-old or 14-year-old. You know, sitting in this bar.
Well, I mean, heck, I mean, you would be dropped off and to stay at the lake to get that parking spot.
Yeah.
You know, that campsite. Nobody thought anything of it. I still find that so dangerous. I just can't believe that. But, you know.
There was another family that we would go out to the lake with quite a bit, and they had a boat, and um, his dad and my dad, they would take us out. You know, if we were looking like for a 4th of July weekend or something like that, they would take us out either Tuesday or Wednesday, and you know, they put the boat in the water, and we'd get, you know, they'd set up trailers and everything, and they would leave us out there so we could keep an eye on the camp. And I was maybe 11 or 12 at the time.
I still can't believe that. I mean,
Yeah.
if anything would have happened,
Yeah,
and that's way before cell phones.
yeah. And the one there was one kid there that was my age, and then his younger brother. And yeah, so we ended up staying out at the lake for 2 or 3 days all by ourselves with no
That's
adult
crazy.
supervision, and
That's totally crazy.
we would take the boat out and go fishing.
Oh my
and
God.
yeah,
Mm.
you know, and
I'm surprised nobody stopped you.
yeah, you know, but now, oh yeah, there would have been child
Oh,
abuse.
geez, yeah.
You know,
Times sure have changed.
Yeah.
It seems like crime getting worse, and now I know I sound definitely my age, but and these are crimes that happened sometime back. Like I said, since Wyoming is such a desolate area, a lot of people think they can hide there when there's 2 or 3 hours between towns and stuff. But the problem is there's not hardly any trees unless you get up on a mountain. So it's really kind of hard to hide your vehicle.
yeah,
You know, and now, you know, they can call different agencies and
Yeah.
have them each check
yeah,
their thing. But, I mean, think about the era of so many Western men and stuff that have come through there and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
but yeah, we wanted to bring you this case. We didn't know if you'd heard about it. I don't remember if it was on Unsolved
Yeah, it
Mysteries
was.
or not. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
And, you know, it's a fascinating case. It's really a sad one. It's a sad one whenever anybody died.
Yeah.
So, and on a different note, Brad made the best chicken or turkey pot pie tonight. We had some pie crust, and Brad is like the gravy king. I don't think I've made gravy more than a couple of times since I met you now.
Probably not.
Because he is the king of gravy from scratch. And, yeah, he used some mixed vegetables and turkey and a couple of potatoes. And it was very good.
Thank you.
It was very, very good. I love pot pies.
And I just used a couple potatoes because I didn't want to carb up too much on that. And then I used more mixed vegetables and onions, and I even threw some mushrooms in there and everything.
That was a little weird. The mushrooms were a little funkalicious.
But you know, in the
You want to put mushrooms in everything, though. What is your thing? He wants to put mushrooms in everything. First time we ever made chicken noodle soup together, the boy put mushrooms in it, and I thought, what the heck?
But you know, you look at the expensive soups that they sell.
Okay,
canned
but
soups.
we're down home. We are not expensive.
I know, but
You love
But I
mushrooms.
wanna
You want
make-
mushrooms in everything.
I want to make the best possible
It was.
dish I
They
could.
were okay. They were a little weird, but I mean, not so weird that you've done weirder. But you know, I loved it. I loved it. Don't change it.
Okay.
Thank you for cooking tonight.
Because when you say they were weird, that almost
It was a surprise. Okay, it was a surprise ingredient that I didn't know was coming.
But see, when you say it was weird,
oh Lord,
that
here we go.
it almost throws down the gauntlet to top that for
No,
weird.
don't. Okay, because you've done some. This boy can do some weird. He can weird you out. He can creep you out with weirdness. You can. You know, don't ever think that you're gonna one up him on like a prank or do anything, because he will do the grossest thing, take you right back to thinking he's a 13-year-old boy, because he will do the absolute grossest things that just we used to have these wars where we would lick each other's glasses. And then he would take in the biggest, grossest spit wad and put it on your lens inside and then rub it all around. And then he'd play with it and make even little peaks and stuff. Like, oh. You know, and they hand it back to you and like, you can gross people out. You can gross me out.
I know.
I wonder if I can tell. I used to, when my neck was a little bit thin, I used to be able to do that and really show all the cords. I know. I can be weird too.
That came out of left field right there.
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah. So tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So I want to wish all of you, we want to wish all of you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. Whether you're doing it alone or you're doing it with a lot of people or whatever, just try to enjoy it. Make it your own. Especially if you are alone or maybe it's just the two of you, make it your own. You don't have to do the classic fanfare of the turkey and all that. We aren't this year. We are doing seafood. Mm-hmm. We bought a bag of frozen shrimp. We went cheap too. We thought about doing the crab legs, and we already talked about that, how expensive they are. So, and then we did some. We got a box of breaded calamari, a box of breaded clam strips, some onion rings, and we already have corn. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're gonna have. It's gonna be easy. It's gonna be no problem at all. We're gonna dig out all of our Christmas stuff tomorrow and start sorting through and making a plan on how mapping out. See, I have a master plan on thinking of how I would like these lights to be outside. And then Brad will come along and ruin it because he'll say, well, but they all have to plug in together and I only have so many outlets. So then he'll have to redo it because I'm just like, I had the vision. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I just had the vision. And he's like, well, that's not possible. Let's talk about what can be tied together and what not. So that's why we have to do it together.
Yeah.
It was like we have the inflatable, like Leanne, I have a gingerbread inflatable that Carol got me. Oh, geez. Maybe it's the first year that we were in the ghetto trailer. Mm-hmm. And I just love it. Mm-hmm. And then we have
the three elves or gnomes.
Yeah. And then, is that what we have?
I think that's all we have.
I think it is too. So we have those. And so we have to map out. That's usually what we spend our Thanksgiving doing now, is decorating for Christmas. It's kind of nice. You take down the fall stuff, you put it away, you start decorating, and then we usually light. That's the first night we'll light up the lights outside, if we get them out in time.
You know, and one of the differences between Wyoming and North Carolina is Wyoming, you would put your lights out according to the weather. I mean, if you had a day that it was above freezing, by all means, also, I mean, two qualifiers had to be above freezing and it had to be less than a 20-mile-an-hour wind.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to climb a ladder to hang lights.
Now, I did not ask him to climb a ladder.
No, I did it. I know you didn't. No, I did it a few times.
You did it a few times, and then I begged him, please don't do that, because it's not worth it. It's not worth falling and getting a broken leg or worse.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's icy and windy, whatever goes up has to come down, too.
And come down hard. And, you know, but that's what's nice here is for the most part, you're not going to have an extended period of cold and snow and ice.
We still don't hang any lights that aren't, which you could get from the ground.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it is nice because, like you said, in Wyoming, you might be starting hanging lights into September.
Yeah.
Seriously. People make fun of you, and it's like, because the weather's nice right now, so come Thanksgiving evening is when we always light the outside light. We're able to do that, and because it's not below zero and sideways, snowing sideways with a 60-mile-an-hour wind. And
we had several times where we wouldn't take the Christmas lights down until after Easter.
There was one year that we had the Halloween stuff up, too frozen to get it down. So we end up putting the Christmas, not lighting up we used to have Halloween lights, not lighting those up anymore. It had the Christmas lights, and it was still too frozen to ever get those down. Like Brad said, then it came Easter time, and finally we were able to get them down. It's like, I felt like just leaving them all up because they were all seasonal and going, okay, well,
Yeah.
we got it covered.
Yep.
Well, we didn't take off the lights around the windows until we got new windows. Remember, we had those ones?
That's right.
They were rope lights. That's
Yep.
when they first came out.
Yep.
We have left those up year round because, But yeah, it's, like I said, I always have these visions, and then Brad will come in and ruin my little vision and tell me, well, that's nice. It would look really nice, but they don't tie in together, and, I have to be able to plug them in, and, we don't want 10,000 cords and all these different plugins,
Yeah, like on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yeah.
It's like, no, we have to talk about how we're going to anchor the inflatables, because we got to do that a little differently. We never did inflatables in Wyoming.
Mm-mm.
So we know a few people that tried to, but like I said, when you have such severe weather changes and the wind and an inflatable, they love each other. They want to run off and get married. And they evidently have a lot of them, It's just like a great big balloon. You may drive down the street and see an inflatable pass you by. And you're like, bye. I don't know how many times we went Dollar Tree and we get something that was maybe light. Be trying to, maybe with a little decoration, trying to carry it out there, the wind going, and it would take it right out of my hands. I'm like, bye, see you in Glen Rock.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and I remember one time driving home, I was driving the Geo, and it was all the tumbleweeds were out flopping, and I saw this tumbleweed that was bigger than the Geo.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it got hung up on the fence, because if it wouldn't have, it would have been a major head-on.
Come springtime, you go out there to clean up your yard, and you might have one whole corner of your yard, higher than you, full of those tumbleweeds. Are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've got such bad sticklers on them, thorns, that, it just cuts you all up.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out on eBay for a while people were selling tumbleweeds, they even put like spray glitter and stuff on them, and people were buying them. I thought they were insane.
Mm-hmm.
I still do.
Yeah.
But they would tell me one morning you were driving to work, and the wind was so bad it lifted up the front of the Geo.
Oh yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah.
I'd always take I-25 from our house in Bar None into work, and you just starting to come into Casper, and you're up on top of a hill, on top of a bridge, and you're coming around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way that bridge is set up, it just funnels the wind right on through it. And the Geo was so light in the front end, as I was
with you in it?
Even with me in it, that it lifted the front wheels off the ground. So here I'm going. I'm riding a wheelie in the Geo at 60 miles an hour, and I just
on the ice, and
I just about pooed myself.
I came home that night and told me, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't think I took the interstate on a windy day after that ever, because I was not going to do that. I would have lost my stuff if that would have happened to me.
Well, and remember, Crystal was using the Geo one day, and she was stopped at this. She was stopping to make a left turn, and she was sitting there, and the wind hit her, and it just slid her across the ice into the borrow pit.
Yeah.
And when she first called me and told me this, I thought, oh yeah, because we knew she could be a little wild. And I got up there, and you could see exactly how it had done it.
Yep.
Where you could see the tire tracks, the car sliding sideways.
Yep.
So
well, that's pretty common sight.
Yeah.
Bad winters and stuff, you're going to see a lot of cars in the barrel pits and stuff. Or else you get a call from a friend, can you come help pull me out?
Mm-hmm.
When Brad had a big truck, he got a lot of calls like that. But yeah, it's fun. We do not miss that white, cold, frozen stuff. It makes ice, and we do not miss that wind.
No.
That wind is so bad, guys. It will drive you insane. It blows almost constantly in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just real sharp. It depends on, like, we would have it come down our chimney. It drives you insane. I'd have to wear my headphones all the time, because it would drive you insane. You couldn't really go downstairs because it was colder downstairs and stuff. And it's like, man, I hated it. It's like it would blow, nonstop for days.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and you get, it's cold out. Say it's 10 below zero. Okay, it's not that bad really, I mean, as long as you keep moving and stuff. But when you add a wind, you may have 10 below, but it may say wind chill makes it negative 29. And they're not kidding. You step outside and that wind has got that cold bite to it, and it just takes your breath away.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way really to shield yourself from it. I remember walking home as a little kid from grade school, and my whole, even though I had like a hat on and everything, your whole cheeks and stuff would be so cold. By the time you got home, you just wanted to cry because your face was frozen. And you'd be outside, and if you got a stuffed up nose, you're going to feel that stuff freeze. The snot is going to freeze in your nose. And you're going to be like,
Well, and I don't know.
wait for it to thaw.
I don't know how many times either I was snowmobiling or ice fishing, and just the breathing, the condensation from your breath, you'd end up with icicles hanging off your facial hair.
That happened to me a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was horrible. I just finally started just shaving it all off because I just couldn't take it anymore. I just could not take it anymore.
Got it.
But you can feel like your nostril hair freezing. You're like, it's not. And then it starts to thaw out. You want to be alone when that happens because you're like, you start to feel it going drip, drip, drip. You're like, oh, wonderful.
Yep.
Aren't you guys excited?
Yeah.
Like I say, snow is beautiful as long as I don't have to go out in it and I'm in my nice warm house and everybody that I love is here with me. But when you got a husband that's got to go on the interstate into Casper and stuff, no. Right?
Yep.
Like, you see a bus with the school kids in it rounding that corner going way too fast.
Oh, Lord.
Sliding sideways. And you're like, oh, Lord. Them kids aren't buckled up, so they're just like ping pong balls in that bus anyway. It's like,
Yeah.
It didn't make you feel any better about, your kids riding a bus. So, yeah, we don't miss it. Mm-hmm. We like it better here.
Yeah.
When we figure there's a reason why we're here, and if it, like Brad says, if for no other reason, even though we enjoy the seasonal change, is that we got Jelly Bean.
Mm-hmm.
She's the love of devil. She's right behind us right now. And she had been a daddy's girl today, big time.
Yes,
she's been loving on me too, but she been working it with the dad.
Yep, she's been hooked up to me.
Yeah, which you just love. Mm-hmm. I'll walk in the front room and put your face back over this way. I'll walk in the front room. Okay, don't be too weird, okay? Now I'm gonna have to punch you in the stomach. Oh. I can't do that.
I've got witnesses.
No. Anyway, I'll walk in the front room and here she is. Stop it. Here she is sitting on his lap, just happy as could be, looking at me like, hi, Mom. Hi. And I just smile and laugh. I know what you guys are up to. Right?
Yep.
I haven't really done too much. I'm working on a hat. I haven't done any hats in a while because I've been working on headbands and stuff. So I'm working on that. Feels good to be doing one. And I'm probably going to go in and paint later on tonight. What? That'll be nice.
Just looking.
I feel creative today. I've already done some writing and stuff. I did a small mini concert about 8 o'clock this morning. Just a couple of songs.
I heard it.
I could not sleep. We had a rough night last night. Man, we couldn't sleep worth nothing. And the minute one of us sleep, the other one would wake him up. And it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And I told Brad, I said, I'm not sleepy, even though we had taken stuff that we should have been knocked out. And I said, you might want to go lay out in your chairs for a while and let me get sleepy, and then and that's what we did. Finally we're able to. I'm having a little bit of a hard time wrapping my mind around some things that's happened within the family, and I've been doing some more crying. When you lose someone that you love and coming to terms with it, especially the first year or so. and stuff. I already had a cry a little bit ago about that. I was sharing a memory about my father that I'll share it with you guys. My aunt Lindy, who she's only like 5 years older than me. She was married to my uncle Calvin. Anyway, she showed a thing about coffee on Facebook, and I told her, I said, when I was small, and I was only in maybe kindergarten, first grade, my dad would get up super early. He worked at a oil, it wasn't a refinery, it was a mine. What would you call it?
I don't know.
He worked for a place called Getty Oil. And I knew it was out of town. And anyway, he'd get up super early in the morning, and I would get up with him. I would be the only one up with him. And he would say, don't tell your mother. And he act like it was this big secret, and he'd go over and he'd fix me a cup of coffee, too. Granted, it was mostly milk and sugar. But boy, did I think I was something else. I'm sitting there up there, and my dad wasn't a happy waker-upper. And so he'd grunt. You're not allowed to talk to him until he's ready. So he just kind of grunt and growl, and I'd mimic him and stuff. And then, Brad said, how long does it take before he could say a sentence? And I'm like, oh, about half hour or so. But I cherish those memories. And I told my aunt, I said, they can say whatever they want. They can lie. They can never steal my memories. And I meant that. Yep. Because it was a very special time that, And I always loved getting up, having morning coffee with my dad, Because I might say, well, good morning. And he'd go, what's good about it? He would play around like that, But it's hard. It's hard. You miss so many people that have passed on. Or you miss people that just aren't in your life anymore. And especially when this is such a family-oriented holiday and stuff. And then you're hit with so much of the Black Friday crap right now. It's just,
Yep.
I mean, you can't escape it. If it's not, it's getting on your text message, it's in your email, it's in any sites that you open up. And it's like, you know what? Not all of us have any extra money right now. Most of us don't. And I'm not going to do any. I used to do a little bit of Black Friday shopping. I'm not doing any this year at all, We're still waiting on a refund from Amazon because, get this, okay, we ordered some stuff and all of a sudden one package was undeliverable. And we found out it got damaged during shipment. So as soon as they get it back from the post office, then they'll process our refund. Well, that's been a couple weeks ago. Still haven't gotten our refund. I'm sure they're going to take their sweet time about it. Because, of course, they're going to want to put it on just a credit, to use there on Amazon. It's like, no, I want it back on my card, okay? Because there were a number of items that we've had to go ahead and buy because we needed. The only thing I still need to buy there is the vacuum cleaner belts. We have 2 vacuums. We have a lighter one I like to use because it's easier for me. And then we have the Shark, bigger, the Mamba Jamba one. But it's like, it's irritating. It's like, Brad was asking about something we were out of. I think it was melatonin. I'm like, if I ever got the money from... So Brad's probably going to be working on that Friday or Saturday or something, line them out. Right? Anything else?
No, ma'am.
No?
Nope.
Nope. Well, I hope you guys have if I don't see you guys before, and we may not do a video tomorrow, I don't know. If we do, we may just pop on and say hi. I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. And if you don't really do Thanksgiving, then just have a great day. And don't get caught up in all the commercial bullshit of, because that's not what the holiday is really about. And whether or not you celebrate it because of your own beliefs about the Indians and the Native Americans and stuff, I totally get it. I totally agree. So, you can say you're celebrating it to honor them. So, the day after is Native American Day, actually. Now, according to the calendar I have on my phone. Now they've made that Black Friday is Native American Day.
Cool.
Anyway, we love you guys. And we do cherish your friendship so very much. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please share with your friends. We love your comments. We do read all your comments. Do something nice for somebody else. Do something nice for yourself. Brad, I'm going to hit you in a minute if you don't stop, man.
Okay.
Don't make me beat you.
Ooh.
Okay? I see you there. I know where you live. I even know where you sleep. I could do all kinds of stuff to you when you're asleep. When
No,
you do
because I
sleep.
don't sleep.
I wake up sometimes you're asleep.
Oh, okay.
Or he thinks he's awake. And he'll say something and he'll start snoring. And I'm like, honey, you fell asleep. No, I didn't. I'm just resting. It's like, you were snoring. Anyway, do something nice for somebody else. Do something nice for yourself. No, I still don't know how I got this horrible, horrible scratch. I think it's when I was cutting Jelly Bean's nails. But anyway, and as always, everybody say bye, Brad.
Bye, Brad.
Bye, guys.